Well, it is official. The Philadelphia 76ers were, in fact, defeated by the New York Knicks in 6 games. That being said, this video is my breakdown of it, what I think needs to change from the 76ers perspective, and why I think that the Knicks are not going to go far in the playoffs despite this. I think that they're going to lose in the next round. I'll start to get into that in the end, too. And honestly, for a series that only went to 6 games, because it only went to 6 games, this probably was one of the best first round series in a while. Like, I've said this a few times today in school, because I live in New York, and it's like 90% Knicks fans there. But I said this a few times. Unlike the Eagles, the 76ers actually put up a fight in their loss. All the games were pretty close. Again, like this elimination game came down to the wire, and you look at the Eagles versus the Buccaneers game, and you just see it was a 32-9 blowout. The Eagles had pretty much no life in them. I mean, yeah, they got a field goal and a touchdown in the second quarter, but besides that, they just could not do anything. The Eagles could not convert on third down at all that game. The Eagles just looked dead on the field. They couldn't do anything. They had no defense, no offense. It was all bad. And honestly, if not for the Buccaneers dropping passes, they could have scored more than 32 points, and they held the Eagles to single digits. The Eagles were dead. If you had a team like the Eagles who just collapsed in the playoffs, they probably would have gotten swept. The 76ers, they actually put up a fight. When you look at the point differential, I saw this thing on Twitter. I don't think I could find it. But basically, the Knicks scored 650 points in the series. The 76ers got 649. It was very close. I mean, Game 6, the one where the Knicks won, and Game 2, those were both one possession games. In both cases, one of the 76ers wins went to overtime. There were two crazy comebacks. Games 2 and 5, we saw just a lot of intense stuff coming from this series. So that's how I like to start. Like, when you look at the win percentages, it just kept going back and forth. There were times where the teams pulled away, but they couldn't ever get like anywhere far. These were the games that were really close. Honestly, I think the Sixers put up a better fight in this year's first round than they did in the second round last year. Because looking at 76ers versus Celtics 2023, I want to show you what my point is that I hope I can find this. Is that looking at this, the first game it's not showing. That was a 4-point win by the 76ers. Like, one of their wins went to OT and it was close. And then look at the Celtics. They win by over 30. They win by 12. The Sixers do get a 12-point win in there, and then they lose by 9, and then in an elimination game they lose by 24. So even though, yes, that series did go the full distance, that series did go to 7 games. That's a series where the Celtics could have easily finished the Sixers off in 5, or even 4 realistically, and it wasn't it wasn't even close to being a series that the Sixers could win. Whereas in this case, it was a series that went either way. Which I know what everyone is saying is that the Sixers fans are sore losers, but when you think about it, like what Nick Nurse said is that when the plays went their way, he was right. It's in these clutch moments where all these games were really games that could have gone either way. Both teams had a chance. The Knicks were able to take better advantage of them. The Knicks were able to take better advantage of them. And what Paul Reed said about the Knicks being the easier matchup, and everyone now making fun of him. But I don't think he should have said that. But the Knicks were a much easier matchup than the Boston Celtics. I don't see the Celtics losing to either the Cavaliers or the Orlando Magic. I don't see that happening. So if even if the Knicks beat the Pacers, I don't see them advancing past them. And honestly, this could still be the best first round series. The Sixers still have a chance to put up the best fight. The reason why I say chance is because obviously if um, Cavaliers Magic or Clippers Mavericks goes the full distance, then yes, those are going to be better series because they would have went the full distance. But if this series does not go the full distance, this really could be one of the best first round series we've had in a while. I mean, especially when you look at only the Eastern Conference. But again, that's why I need the Cavaliers to win tonight, so that this way, nobody can say that they went the full 7 games. We could even look at Wikipedia in their matchups. Again, game one they won because of their bench. Um, I mean, it was really the rebounds. You know, there was a lot of stuff going on with that. Like we can even look at Knicks versus 76ers ESPN and look at through some of the games, um, because you see this game, which was actually the Sixers' best win, and this is when Joel Embiid got 50 points. And yes, I know that everyone is crying about how he wasn't ejected, but like look at this win probability chart, and you see how it was heavily in favor of the 76ers. Most of the win probability charts weren't like this. Yeah, but because like you look at a win probability chart like this, and it was crazy. It was crazy. You look at the game flow, look at the points, look at the point differentials. Because there was a point in which the Knicks held a 92% chance to win, and you look at it, the Knicks peaked at a 92% chance of winning late in the first when they were up 22 points. The Sixers came all the way back and they led at halftime and even expanded their lead. There was a point where they held an 87% chance to win when they were up 10 in the middle of the third quarter. So they turned a 22-point deficit into a 10-point lead, but then things began to fall apart, and the Knicks went back up to a 92% chance to win, and they eventually, even though their chances did drop at a point back down to the 50s, they eventually prevailed. Uh, Look at game one, which was the best win for the 76ers. Um, and you look at it, and you can really see how, again, you have a crazy win probability chart because there was a point where the Knicks had a 92% chance to win when they were up 14 in the third. Then the Sixers again come all the way back and take the lead, only for them to crash in the fourth quarter. And this is after the Sixers had a nearly 80% chance to win when they were up 13 at the end of the first. So again, you had these crazy games in the series. So I feel like we do have to begin to go through Twitter. Um, and yeah. So when you look at the reasons like looking at it, Tobias Harris, he gotta go. 0 points, 0 for 2 field goals in 29 minutes. I've seen a lot of Knicks fans on Twitter say they only like Tyrese Maxey. The only reason why they also like Tobias Harris is because he didn't do anything, and he put up after he put up 19 points in Game 6 and in Game 5, and honestly did more than Joel Embiid and actually seemingly did something. If he puts up 4 points in that game on empty possessions, the Sixers win. Uh, But it's like trying to look at some of the stuff on my Twitter to see what people say, but like, look, you see this. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know. I really can't find anything on my Twitter to back this up. So I'll just like kind of summarize what I saw on my back screen, which is intentionally left generic. So what I've been seeing a lot on Twitter is basically the fact that you know, like after this, like everyone on the Knicks hates Joel Embiid, and I honestly see why, because what he's done to some of their players, it was excessive. Like, I don't think I'm gonna go through the clips right now in this video, because I don't want to drag it out for too long. But I will acknowledge some of what he's done was disgusting. Um, which is also why you heard all those fucking B chants. They pointed out when they heard him in Wells Fargo Center because he let the Knicks take over, which we will be discussing. I also, no one discusses this, but I also heard them at Citi Field because the Mets decided to keep showing Knicks highlights at Mets games, April 28th, and the Knicks won that game in Philadelphia. Yeah, I was not exactly happy about it. I was not exactly happy about it. Um, I was really happy that Mark Vientos homered at the bottom of the 11th, and the Mets won against the Cardinals to stay above 500, which they are above 500 right now. The New York Mets are 16-15, so I could see some success for the Mets this year. Not saying there's going to be a lot of it, but you gotta hope that the Mets could. Everyone's saying they're going to be a 500 team, so you gotta hope they have a weak National League. They can sneak into the playoffs, and that they can get like a few wins over 500. Because honestly, I think 85-77 or 86-76 will get the Mets to the playoffs. But Citi Field was also showing Knicks highlights, and I feel like everyone is too busy discussing how Knicks fans took over Philadelphia. And look, I know they reserved the seats for the Sixers fans, 2,000 of them, and everyone disapproved of that. But personally, I was fine with it. You know why I was fine with it? Because what MSG did was also disgusting. You charge $500 for first round tickets because New York is a wealthier city than Philadelphia. So by Philadelphia only being able to have it be $250 for their things, and even that being expensive, you allow people from New York to travel down to Philadelphia, watch the game in Philadelphia. You allow them to watch the game in Philadelphia. Honestly, getting down from New York to Philly on the Amtrak probably costs just as much as seeing an MSG. So they figure, why not? And Sixers fans obviously can't get back to New York because it's $500, and you also have to pay for train tickets and all that stuff. You got to pay for. You have to think about it. So so I'm not gonna be that person that goes out and blames the officials like Joel Embiid or Nick Nurse. And I feel like what they did was immature. But I am gonna say that the way that the NBA set this up, and with the way the ticket prices are, it seemingly gives the Knicks an advantage when their ticket prices are twice as expensive because New York is a wealthier city than Philadelphia. That's all I'll say on that. And honestly, I mean like like the Knicks won, and sometimes it felt like they got lucky when they won. Other times it felt like they actually deserved that win. Um, so it's depressing. Like it really is. And now, Knicks fans, you might want to trash talk all you want now. And believe me, I was extensively trash talked to the point where I actually became aggressive to other people just because I was getting so extensively trash talked that at some point I'm gonna snap. But but during Spanish class, like literally every single time there was something even vaguely related to this series. Someone was talking about the Knicks during band, like literally every single time someone had a chance to, they talked about the Knicks in the Sixers series. It was annoying, but I still think that the Knicks lose in the second round to the Indianapolis Pacers. And look, the Pacers played a Bucks team coached by Doc Rivers, a Bucks team without their two best players. But they still smacked them in a lot of ways. They smacked them, and they got their first series win since like 2014. The Bucks smacked them in game one. They smacked the Bucks in game two. They won a nail biter in what was this overtime in game three. So yeah, congratulations to the Pacers. Congratulations to the Pacers on that, and they smacked them in game four. Yes, the Bucks did demolish them in game five, and then the Pacers demolished them back in game six. And you look at this, and this is a Pacers team that I'm very happy for. Number one, they beat Doc Rivers, so that's always a bonus in my book. Especially since Doc Rivers is the reason why the Sixers even had to go into the play-in tournament in the first place. And the Pacers, they deserve it, and I'm gonna cheer for them against the New York Knicks as well. I'm going to cheer for them against the Knicks, and I think that they can get it done. Look, the 76ers, the 76ers played the Knicks really, really, really close. They kept them on the edge of their seats, and it was a bruising series for the Knicks. I think that for the Pacers, I don't want to say it was smooth sailing, but the Pacers had a bit of an easier time against the Bucks. Like the series didn't come down to a singular point. The the series came down to 17 points, which I'll say, it's more than 1 point. Um, and look, um, Knicks fans, they're not going to be able to invade, Indianapolis the same way. They're just not. So even if, Indianapolis isn't as wealthy of a community, there's not going to be Knicks fans who are going to be traveling to Indianapolis because look, you look at New York and Philadelphia on a map, they're like 90 miles apart. New York and Indianapolis, those are probably about 600 miles apart on a map. And there's no northeast corridor. You can't easily get from Indianapolis to New York. So yes, MSG is going to be a very hostile environment. But the Knicks have to go to Indiana, and that's going to be hard. And I think that the Pacers could steal a game. They're a better coach team. They fit together better. And like you look at Pacers versus 76ers, and I'll say that even when they had Joel Embiid on, they lost. This was a Tyrese Maxey game where he dropped like 50 points, and he did drop 46 in Game 5 in the playoffs. I mean like I mean and then obviously this is when Joel was injured. But no, Joel wasn't even injured in this game. And the Pacers still won. The Pacers are a better team than the 76ers. With how close the Sixers played the Knicks, I just don't see the Knicks moving on from this. And I know that everyone is saying they're going to move on, but give me Pacers in 5. Pacers will win the series in 5 games. The Knicks just are not going to be able to stop the Pacers when the 76ers nearly did. The Knicks were almost first-round exits. And I really think that the Pacers are going to do a better job, and I'm cheering on them to do so. Lastly, as for my thoughts on Joel Embiid, I know that he did have some good games in the playoffs. Joel Embiid, playoffs, 2024 stats. Like, I know he had some good games in the playoffs. He averaged 33 points, 10.8 rebounds, 5.7 assists. Um, I mean, like, I mean, like, I mean, you know, I mean, like, you look at the regular season, they went 31-8 with Embiid and 16-27 without him. And I mean, obviously, you know. But what I'll say about this is Joel Embiid is starting to embarrass the 76ers as a franchise. He's starting to make people hate the 76ers. Um, he's starting he really is bringing toxicity into this game, and it's becoming not even basketball at that point. It was such a physical series. And like obviously the guy's injured, and obviously that affects you emotionally. I could I could tell you how me getting hurt affected me emotionally, but like I mean, you just can't. I mean, he's an injury merchant. He never took the Sixers past the second round, and I don't think he's the answer. I really think. And besides, Tobias Harris can actually play somewhat well through Maxi's offense. So I think that again, you build a team around Tyrese Maxey. You fire Nick Nurse. Honestly, at this point, there's a reason why he got fired from Toronto. There's a reason that he got fired from Toronto. Obviously, yes, getting rid of Doc Rivers was good, and I was impressed in the regular season how he still managed to keep the team alive. But with this playoff series, one thing's become clear: Nick Nurse got to go. Um, and you bring in a coach who can build around Maxey. You trade Joel Embiid to another team. I'm sure someone's going to want him, and you could build a team around Maxey, get Buddy Hield involved more, because when he was in the game, that this is when the Sixers were making their crazy comeback. I mean, like I really think that if you just make the proper changes in the offseason, you could do this. But the Joel Embiid era in Philadelphia has to come to an end. And I repeat, the Joel Embiid era in Philadelphia has to come to an end. I know he won MVP in 2023, and that's fine and all. And that's fine and all. But he could have 2023-2024 really could have been the season where if he stayed healthy, he could have taken the Sixers to at least the ECF. He couldn't do that. He just couldn't do that. He flopped in the playoffs again, and Sixers fans deserve better than this. So again, like I just really hope that we can do something to stop Joel Embiid. Just literally anything.